What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at Galarian Moltres. Now, Galarian Moltres obviously shares a typing with like Mandibuzz and the newly buffed Bombardier, I don't know. It is a dark flyer, and it pairs really well with Poison because Poison is weak to Psychic, it's weak to Ground. So we've got Swallow on the front. You guys know at this point how much I love this Pokemon. And then we've got Golisopod as our safe swap on this team, also good against Swallow's weaknesses in Psychic and Ground. So this team is very similar to the one that I just showcased with Thievul. We just swapped out Golisopod. But yeah, without further ado, let's hop into some matches. Okay, Grumpig on the lead. So this is obviously not a great lead. We got a Psywave user, so we're instantly going to get out into our safe swap. And we bait out a Guzzlord. So what we're going to do is we're going to farm up a little bit, go for a super effective X-Scissor onto this Guzzlord, and it does land. However, because our Shadow Claws are resisted, this is still not really a flippable matchup. But I want to see if I can grab some shields before I leave this matchup. And if my opponent isn't willing to commit 2 shields in this matchup, then I will be able to flip switch, and then I'll have a very dominant alignment. Just because Grumpig, everything is resisted except for Dynamic Punch, which is only neutral and non-stab. In the back, they have their own Golisopod, and they do not throw right away, which allows me to also get to an X-Scissor here. And they actually give me the final shield. So now we are at even shield situation here. I get 1 turn lag, of course, but they do have an energy advantage, and I kind of just have to watch out for the catch, and there it is. But we're okay with this damage landing because now it's actually putting this in Sucker Punch range. And if we can come out with 2 moves loaded, that would be great. So 1 Dynamic Punch, here it comes. It looks like we just barely won't survive a second. Can we get the farm down? We can, and my opponent immediately resigns the match as soon as we do. Into the next match, we see a Low Kicks. This is a bit of a core breaker, to be completely honest. Sucker Punches are hitting neutrally on the Swallow, but all of their charge moves are resisted, whereas we're in the opposite boat. We have resisted Mud Shot, but our charge moves are neutral. So it's actually more of a neutral matchup than you might expect. That being said, if they commit 2 shields here, this could get ugly pretty fast because then they will have vamped up their attack quite a bit. So I do commit 1 shield back. I want to at least grab 2 shields out of this matchup if I can. And if I do, I'll be in an okay position because once I grab this last shield, I can immediately get out because I do not want to concede that farm down. And then I come in Moltres. Now, why do I come in Moltres instead of Golisopod, which is my safe swap? That's because they now have no shields, and I knew with an energy advantage that Brave Bird would absolutely hurt. However, they come in with a Toxapex, something that can eat a Brave Bird with ease. So I end up just going for double Ancient Power and CMP tie them with the Sludge Wave here. So at least getting some decent chip, but my Moltres will have to go down, and we are in a bit of a tricky situation now because Golisopod, all of our charge moves are resisted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to overfarm, catch the Sludge Wave. You know we love to catch on this channel, and that is huge because that's loads of energy wasted. I'm going to go for the entire full farm down, going over 100 energy, coming out with loads of energy, like 2.5 moves. Are they going to come in? They have a Marowak in the back, and they make a superb peekaboo play catch onto their Low Kicks. But unfortunately for my opponent, I have so much loaded energy, and they have no shields. So here comes 1 Aqua Jet. Here comes a second before they can even make it to a Bone Club, which is resisted on the Golisopod. And just like that, we are able to win the game. Into the next match, we have a Drapion on the lead. This is a pretty neutral matchup. However, I do prefer to be the Swallow here because I like having the fast move pressure. And we can kind of force shield with our Ice Beam. And they shield just about 100% of the time. However, I still refuse to bait for whatever reason because I know as soon as I start baiting, it's going to get called on me. I just know it. And you can actually outpace if they go for an Aqua Tail here, then you'll live another one. But if you go If they full send the crunch, then you can outpace to the ice beam. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to give them the shield back and then just go for the ice beam. And look at that, we actually just barely lose the ones, which is okay because now we can come in with our Moltres, get an energy lead. Same kind of deal here. Energy lead on Moltres is always nice, but unfortunately for me, they have an Azumarill in the back. But because I got that one Sucker Punch advantage, I'm actually able to outpace and make it to a Brave Bird. And I throw one Sucker Punch and go for the Ice Beam catch, but my opponent holds onto their energy like a pro, and they do end up throwing a Play Rough onto my Gallisapod, and it's a Drifblim in the back. So this is actually pretty nice for us because we have neutral charge moves, and our Shadow Claws are absolutely tearing away at the HP of this Drifblim. And because they're on Astonish, I'm able to outpace, and I go for an undercharge here. Now, why am I going for an undercharge? You might be wondering. Well, Sucker Punch is super effective, and I need to come out with a Brave Bird loaded. So I put them in absolutely perfect farm down range, come out with a one Sucker Punch away from a Brave Bird, which is good because they were only 2 bubbles away from another move, and we are able to take out the Azumarill for the win. Gallisapod on the lead in the next match. This is also a bit tricky, so usually what I do here is I just throw the Sludge because it's neutral. Obviously my fast move is resisted, but I'm okay with that. It looks like 2 will just barely not KO. They overfarm, so I decide, you know what, I'm going to go for a catch on to my own Gallisapod and catch the Aqua Jet. They were at back-to-back moves when I caught that move, which is why I caught when I did. But then they come in with a Clodsire. I CMP tie them with a Sludge Bomb. But then I'm thinking, you know what, I don't think a Sludge Bomb actually KOs and it'll put me in farm down range. So I'm just going to do that again. I'm going to overfarm, play the CMP tie with their next Sludge Bomb. And this one should be enough to KO. So I'm either going to grab that shield or take this out, and they actually let that go. And it is a Wiggly in the back, just throwing the move right away because I do not have a great answer for this. But I do want to align my Swallow, so I do just let that go. I'm going to overfarm just a little bit here. I can take any one charge move. I'm not really worried about the charge moves. It is just the Swift, and they do throw the Charm, so I'm going to go for one in the move, throw in good timing. Sludge does KO, and so now I'm going to instantly swap because I can very easily get the Sucker Punch farm down here before they're able to make it to 3 moves, which is what they would need to win this game, or 3 moves just to get rid of my Moltres. So my opponent resigns the match. Guzzlord on the lead. So this is a good lead. This is one I do bait, and I bait very frequently. In fact, I don't think I've ever not baited in this matchup. I always go Sludge because for some reason Guzzlords love to shield the Ice Beam even though they would live it. And Exhibit A, I suppose. And they do overfarm perfectly there, but I can live any one charge move here. And they actually make a really nice catch onto their Gallisapod. I should have been more aware of that catch incoming, but now I can just align my Moltres. Shadow Claw is resisted, Aqua Jet and X-Scissor are both neutral. Aqua Jet the better damage per energy move, so that's what they'll go for. But I am unable to get the full farm down, so I am forced to throw some energy, which is okay. I can get the Ancient Power off, we keep alignment, and if they don't throw their energy, I'm going to make it to a Brave Bird. So they do, which is nice because with their energy clear, we can actually just come in with Gallisapod, and they are just about in X-Scissor range. So I come in with the Gallisapod, and am I going to throw right away? They try and go for a catch, which is unfortunate for my opponent because I'm never going to throw an alignment like that. Now I can overfarm, go for the Aqua Jet, and at this point, I'm just going to commit the shield and go for the full farm down because I need to come out with energy loaded. And even if it's a Bone Club, that's fine. They're not going to get to a second move. So at this point, I just throw one more Shadow Claw. I can shield up this move. Even if they're at back-to-back, one Brutal Swing will not KO from this range. But they're not because we see that Dragon Tail go through. X-Scissor will be enough to KO from this range, and I have back-to-back, and Gallisapod wins CMP against so many things in this meta. It's actually incredible. So we are able to take that win. Okay, into the next match, we've got a Wiggly on the lead. This is a fantastic lead, obviously, and they get into a Primeape. Now, Primeape obviously isn't an answer to Swalot. However, We do have a decent answer in Gallisapod in the back. I can live one Rage Fist very comfortably, and I can go for an Aqua Jet. This will obviously be shielded because have you ever seen a Shadow Primeape not use a shield? They do get to another Rage Fist. I will be able to outpace by 1 turn, I believe, getting to the Aqua Jet and grabbing the last shield most likely, and I do. And then they throw right away, which is great for me because they totally could have gone for a Karate Chop farm down at this point. But I'm coming in with my Moltres, and yes, I know Sucker Punches are resisted, and yes, I did get 1 turn lag when I brought it in. However, as soon as I get this farm down, this game is over. However, I wasn't sure if I was going to get there, so I do end up switching into my Swalot. And they actually have a Chargebug in the back, and Chargebug is not an answer to a poison type, so my opponent is absolutely core broken by something like a Clodsire, which is very, very strange considering it's one of the top ranked Pokemon. However, we are able to very comfortably live the discharge. We can make it to another Sludge, and what my opponent doesn't seem to know is that Brave Bird does a lot of damage. So I'm instantly switching into my Moltres here. I want to force out the Wiggly because I know I can connect with this Brave Bird. That'll do a lot of damage, and it will put them in Sludge range, even though, I mean, they could have been a lot healthier and still been in Sludge range. And because Volt Switch is a 4-turn move, I can go for 3 more fast moves, make it to the Sludge, and Sludge from this range, KOs a Chargebug. We're able to take that win. Into the next match, we've got a Ninetales on the lead, so 2 good back-to-back leads, and they're staying in this matchup. Now, they're going to stay in this matchup for 1 of 2 reasons. They're catching on their Gastrodon, or they're going to go for a Psyshock. Unfortunately for my opponent, I have a fantastic answer. You never immediately come in with a Mud Slapper against a Poison type, because obviously your opponent should have an answer to that. And they do just go for a Body Slam. It looks like I can live 2 of those. So yeah, I'm going to let both go, and I'm going to go for the entire Sucker Punch farm down because that Sludge did connect. Yes, I'm going over 100 energy, but guess what? Now I make it to back-to-back Brave Birds here. So what are they going to do? They're going to come back in with the Ninetales. Ancient Power is super effective as well, so I could just go for back-to-back Ancient Powers. I'm going to go for the Ancient Power first and then go for the Brave Bird because the Brave Bird will still do more damage, and holy moly, it rocks the Ninetales. But then they have a Toxapex in the back. Now, Toxapex is awkward because it walls our charge moves on both of our front 2 Pokemon, so we are in a very awkward situation here. Aqua Jet is the better damage per energy move, so I am going to go for it here. And I am going to shield any potential Sludge Wave here. They do bait with a Brine, which is pretty unfortunate, but these Poison Jabs are adding up so much that I actually have to kind of go for the shield anyway. I try and go for a Sludge Wave catch on my Swalot. Was I successful? No, they did react in time. They did get to the Brine. Fortunately for me, these Mudshots are super effective, and they try and catch on their Ninetales. Yeah, and unfortunately, just like that, the game is over. Talonflame on the lead. This is an okay matchup, but I actually have 2 better answers in the back, so I'm going to immediately get into my Gallisapod here, and then I'm going to throw after 6 Shadow Claws, making sure not to throw on Alignment. If you throw 7, it would be on CMP, but there's always the risk that they go for the extra Incinerate, which would give a lot of free energy, so I do throw 1 before. They are on Flame Charge, which does actually complicate things because that means they can actually just go for the Incinerate farm down after that shield, which is pretty unfortunate, but we are able to grab 2 shields in this matchup, and they know I would make another move, so I am actually going to shield this up, and I anticipate the catch, so they come in with a Guzzlord, and I bank the Aqua Jet, which is absolutely massive, so I have that for the Talonflame later. I live a close combat. I can get off the Brave Bird here. Brave Bird will connect. That is super effective damage, and it does KO. They'll probably just come back in with a Talonflame to get that Incinerate lead, but it does not matter. I have the Aqua Jet stored, so all I have to do is click my Pokemon, and thank you, game, for not even showing me my charge moves. I win CMP there, and I would be able to just KO the Talon. Instead, they try and go for a sludge catch onto their Credilli. Fortunately, I do hold my energy, and I'm able to make it to an ice beam, but all they have to do is now get to a rock tomb. This will debuff my attack. I am going to overfarm as much as humanly possible here, and I do throw the ice beam as late as possible, but unfortunately for me, I am not close enough to a charge move, and they're only one away, so they are going to take this win off of Niantic's incompetence. Yep, one turn lag, you know, it's just there all the time. Terrible lead in the next match. We've got a Claydol, so we have two better answers in the back. Going to get into our Golisopod, and they do not swap out, so somehow they don't have an answer to a Golisopod as a Claydol, which is absolutely insane. They're going to throw the move. I already grabbed my shield, so I'm okay with letting this go. I don't think it KOs, and Mudslaps aren't going to KO me either. And then they just mirror match with their own Golisopod, so that kind of makes sense why they were kind of staying in that matchup. But I am able to connect with an X-Scissor, and that will put it in just about sludge range after these mud shots connect. Of course, I get one turn lag. I just need to mention it every single time it happens because maybe one day they will fix it. And that actually does allow my opponent to outpace me to a second move. I'm not sure sludge would have KO from that range either way, so this time at least I can overfarm, go for the sludge. This should be more than enough to KO at this point. And then I'm instantly going to switch into my Moltres, expecting the Claydol to come back in. Is it the Claydol? It is. Are they going to stay in this matchup? No. After a few Mudslaps, they're going to get out into their Talonflame, but unfortunately, they've given me too much of an energy lead, and I have a shield advantage. So there's their last shield. All I have to do is shield this up. I can even overfarm here slightly. I can go for 2 more Sucker Punches or 1 more if I don't want to take the Incinerate damage. But I'm not worried about the Incinerate damage because they have no ability to farm me down in this matchup with the Mud Slapper. And these Sucker Punches are super effective, and they are tearing away at the Claydol, so my opponent resigns the match. Into the next and potentially the last match of the video, we've got a Dugong on the lead. How am I going to play out this one? They do have super effective Drill Run and the potential to bait with an Icy Wind. So I'm just going to farm up, go for the sludge before they make it to their first move, and then go for a 1-end catch. And I do get it. So no matter what they threw here, it is resisted. Everything is resisted on Golisopod, Icy Wind, and Drill Run. They did full send the Drill Run, so that's good to know. But then they stay in this matchup. They're throwing resisted Ice Shards. That lets me get to an X-Scissor. I'm able to connect with the X-Scissor, and they're still staying in, and they're throwing energy. So something is desperately wrong with my opponent's team building because they have no answer for something that completely walls their moveset. What could they have in the back? It's possible it's a Mud Slapper. I'm thinking Marowak potentially because Dugong Marowak is a pretty common core. There's also a common team with Annihilate, Dugong, and Marowak, so potentially that. Maybe they are triple weak to the Golisopod, but I am able to connect with that. There is the Annihilate. So now what am I going to do here? I'm going to align with my Swalot because that is at least a position where I can take resisted counters, and I do have these neutral Mud Shots and Ice Beams to connect with. They do let that go, and it is the Marowak in the back, so we read their team absolutely perfectly. They don't even farm up to a rock slide, so I can definitely just let this go. This is only a Bone Club that is double resisted opponent. Maybe they wanted me to let that go because they wanted to put me in counter farm down range and come out with Rage Fist loaded. I do just go for the Ancient Power there because I want to actually come out with a little bit of energy to threaten the Annihilate. So I'm okay with burning that last shield in for the trade of the energy. No point in baiting here now because I can make it to an Ice Beam with my Swalot. My opponent plays the only win con of trying to call the bait, and we are able to take that win. So yeah, that is Galarian Moltres as a sweeper. We've seen it on this channel before. I recently built it, and that's why I'm showcasing it so much. It is phenomenal. I love this Pokemon. If you give it an energy advantage like I was in these matchups or a shield advantage, it absolutely runs away with the games because Sucker Punch does so much damage, and Brave Bird can absolutely clean up everything, and both of those are stab, and Ancient Power is just nice coverage. So like as you saw with all the Talonflames, a bunch of things are weak to rock, Dugong even, like things like that, Charge-a-Bug, so it has pretty nice coverage for some of the things it's weak to. But yeah, that's the team, that's the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.